What a year, dude. What a year.
It has been. It
It
has
may,
been. It has been.
this has been insane to even think. What a year. We're down to 4. This is craziness.
Yep.
Absolute insane. Absolutely insane. You feel me? But
And
we
this is
made
and this actually has the potential to be, man, like one of the best Final Fours. Certainly the 4 best teams, no doubt about that.
and they've been the best all year.
They have been.
And it's fucking awesome to see. I can't even lie. See the same teams that were good all year come down to this. We didn't get the matchups we wanted. Yeah, all right. Yeah, all right.
But you got great basketball coming up.
Yes, sir. Okay. We are indeed back. It's your boy Sosa Picks, joined by Spin Doc Sports. It is officially Final Four weekend. We are locked in over at the Daily Bread Network. Make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let us know everything. Follow us both on Twitter, Spin Doc Sports. Been a little minute since we've been here, but we didn't want to drown you with a bunch of bullshit for the week leading up. So, Spin, we're here. We've made it. How we feeling? Welcome to the weekend.
Whew, it's a Final Four. It's we'll get into this, but it's the right Final Four teams. It's all that talk about, well, there's no Cinderellas, there's no, underdog, whatever. No, there's not. But you know what there is? There's 4 phenomenal basketball teams, and we're looking at 2 very good, well, 3 actually, if you count the Natty on Monday. 3 very, very good basketball games. And so if you're a fan of the game, you should be happy for this. Yes, it's fun to see a George Mason. Yes, it's fun to see a VCU. Yes, it's fun to see a Butler go to the national championship game every now and then. But what you have is the 4 greatest collections of talent in college basketball today, and they're going to go to war tonight and Monday. And for that, you should be thankful as a basketball fan. Casual fans might not be as excited, just because, again, there's no never say die mid-major. And keep in mind, I'm the biggest mid-major guy that there is. I mean, that's all I watch all season long is mid-majors. I mean, hell, one of my favorite conferences is a 16 seed, produces a 16 seed perennially. So I love mid-major basketball, but I also like watching high-level basketball. And we are going to watch high-level basketball tonight. The best players in the country, for the most part, are here. Several of the best coaches in the country are here. This is actually shaping up to be, to me, just overall quality of games. It could be one of the best Final Fours that we've seen in a while. I just, the overall collection of talent that exists across these 4 teams, the right 4 teams made it to the Final Four, period.
Yeah, well, shout out to Jay Williams. Everybody was talking about how square his choices were. If you're an extra sharp guy, this wasn't your tournament. It just wasn't. The dogs weren't barking, and we ended up with chalk at the end. Anything take place in the last week that was really interesting? Kevin Willard getting hired at Villanova. I want to speak on that really quickly.
Yeah, go.
Nobody is more undeserving of the Villanova job than Kevin Willard. An absolute joke as a coach. Never made a Final Four. Made it to a Sweet 16 on pure luck off a lottery pick. Who's going to be a top 10 pick in the draft. I just don't like him. I think that the way he handled things at Maryland was trash. He called out the school, and he got rewarded by the players. It had nothing to do with him. I think it's one of the worst hires we've seen in recent years. And I think that he will fail miserably at Villanova. And I'm actually kind of cheering for him to fail. I'm not usually one of those guys to cheer for somebody to fail, but the way he did Maryland to me was fucking trash. Absolutely fucking trash. I don't know what your sentiments are about that particular situation. And then obviously Sean Miller taking the job at Texas. We haven't been here since Rodney got fired, but we were telling you that Rodney was going to get fucking fired.
Oh, absolutely.
He's out the building, obviously. Sean Miller going back to major college basketball. Obviously, Xavier was going back home. You can always go back home, regain your image and your name. And then you go off to Texas, because Texas will hire anybody. I mean, Sarkisian, they gave him a job. So, you know.
No, with Willard, I think there might be more that comes out about this. I hope that we get the full story, because there were comments that he made even coming into the tournament about some of the money stuff and about some of the lack of basically they were thinly veiled comments that when it came to not only just NIL, but also just investing in little things like in the program for the student athletes. Who knows if it's right? Who knows if it's wrong? But there were some snarky little comments that Willard made about basically how like Maryland doesn't want to invest, and him leaving and kind of doing them like he did. It was petty. It was snarky. It was. I can't say.
There are words I want to use that I can't say on the internet without fear of cancellation.
Yeah, I can't say that I'm surprised that this happened. I'm really not, just because if you go back and you read or you watch his interviews coming into the tournament, he said some things that just kind of made people kind of go, huh, like he doesn't sound very happy right now. And
self-absorbed dickhead.
Yeah, he is. But other coaching changes, you talked about Sean Miller. Yeah, ever since the whole Arizona thing happened and, all the allegedlys happened, Sean Miller, you knew he was going to get back into a major power conference and a major power program. So he gets it at Texas. That's what he's wanted. Did a good job at Xavier. What I'm really interested to see is if he can get the same type of offense at Texas that he did at Xavier, because when you start doing that with the kind of money that Texas is going to have, that could be a team to watch in a few years. And regardless of how he gets it, violations, alleged violations, whatever, I'm not going to speak on that today. But
I'm glad you went there. I'm glad you went there, because there's no more allegations. The next word we're looking for is regulations. That's what's coming. That's the next set of shins that are going to take place. That will start fucking teams up.
That's true. That's true. So, if he can get the type of guys or the type of offense that he had at Xavier, with the 3-point shooting that they had and with the ability to run like he had, that could be an offense to watch next year in the conference. So elsewhere, a couple other ones you talked about, Richard Pitino. And, obviously I'm a little biased, a little salty because of the whole Minnesota thing with little Pitino, but I got to give him credit, because the program that he built out in New Mexico, it actually was impressive. And, I do think just watching him coach against Marquette, even though it didn't work out, watching him coach against Michigan State, watching him coach in the Mountain West this year, I do think he's matured as a coach, and I think he's gotten better as a coach. So I'm not sure if I'm Xavier that I would expect to see a huge drop off next year through a lot of connections, some that he initially got through his dad. He does have a decent recruiting pipeline. Xavier isn't like a poor school when it comes to NIL budget. So I wouldn't be surprised if Xavier, I'm not sure that I would pick them to like win the Big East next year, but he's got a lot of opportunity there. And obviously, of course, everybody can, go nuts about the Pitino versus Pitino twice a year now, which I'm sure will be broadcast all over the place. So, anyways, but no, I wasn't upset with the hiring of little Pitino. I thought that I thought that just given what he'd accomplished at New Mexico, I thought that he deserved that. He deserved another opportunity in a power conference. And a couple other ones, obviously I'm going to talk about Nico Medved coming home to Minnesota. It's great. It's feel good. It's not going to mean a damn thing unless the school is going to invest money. It's what hurt Ben Johnson. And it's one of the reasons why Ben wasn't able to succeed, because he lost Pharrell Payne, he lost Ola Joseph, and he lost Hawkins, who went to Texas Tech. He lost all of those guys because they have no NIL money, because they're still recovering from a lawsuit that the athletics department had to pay out. So unless they're going to find sponsors, unless they're going to find new infusions of NIL money, Nico, I love Nico. He's a great coach. He's a good guy. He's a local guy, and there's going to be a lot of feel good here over the summer. But I'm not sure that the result is going to be any different, because that's what rules college basketball today is that if somebody is going to offer some of these kids a bag, is that all the great feel good, and even Minnesota kids, like, stay close to home and you can be a hometown boy, like all that yay rah rah stuff. That doesn't matter as much anymore. Sorry, go ahead.
I found the only other formula that's going to work. It's what Drake did.
True.
That, like, the only other formula that's going to work here is if you get superstar inferior players, if that even makes sense.
No, it does.
You know what I mean? Like, look at what Kelsey and Louisville just did. Kelsey and Louisville just spent a bag on 3 players.
Yep.
They spent a bag on 3 players that all averaged 15 points in inferior conferences. And what Drake do? Drake went in Division II, Division III, and they tried to get some of the best transfers to come there. Only problem is that if they perform well at Drake, they're going to enter the portal again.
Yep.
So it's just a funny winding road. But yeah, the strategy, like you said, it's going to have to be tinkered with, because obviously from a year-to-year standpoint, we can only expect for these teams to be good in conference, and then once that actually ends, I think we're gonna start seeing the same results, which is chalk.
Well, and speaking of Drake, McCollum going to Iowa. He's already signed. He's already signed 5 guys from Drake over to Iowa for next year. So Bennett Sturtz went over, obviously. Cale Combs, Cam Manawayu, Isaiah Howard, and I think Tavion Banks all went over. So you are going to see a much different Hawkeyes team next year, because obviously Fran's teams played no defense virtually for the entire season and just tried to outscore teams 199. But this is going to be a new identity for the Hawkeyes. And I think it's a brand of basketball where, the only thing so 5 guys from Drake, that's great. And that can help impose McCollum's system, kind of his overall identity onto the team.
Right.
But that Drake team is not like just, if you just put that Drake team last year in the Big Ten, they'd be lucky to finish 500 in the conference. And that's just not an indictment of McCollum as a coach. That's just the talent disparity between the MVC and the Big Ten. I also think that Drake, I said this when the tournament brackets came out, I think that Drake caught a fortunate break right away in the first round of the tournament when they caught a Mizzou team that was just the things that Missouri struggled with are the things that Drake did well defensively. So not trying to throw water on Ben McCollum. I think it was a very, very good hire for Iowa. But what I'm saying is that now I'm interested to see who he goes and gets and who comes in that are true Big Ten caliber level players. Because Sturtz can play in the Big Ten. The other 4 probably can be role players in the Big Ten. I'm interested to see what bigger time guys that they get, because with the way he's organizing this team, you are going to see basically a version of Drake at Iowa. And obviously there's the whole,
I think that's the plan, though, is to,
no, it is. I know it is.
Right. Is to just dress the building with free refurbished parts.
Yep.
Just dress the building. Don't go out and get anything new. Because I think that what you're gonna start seeing now is And I swear, like, I really given this a lot of thought. What you're going to do is you're going to see these state schools try to stay in state. If they can't get the kids in state, I think that will be the number one most appealing part to NIL for these schools. Stay home.
Yep.
Stay home, have some level of a legacy. Even if you're here for 1 year or whatever, it'll be an easier way because then you can commit more to the kid that's in state. The kid that's in state already has a following coming into the school. You can fill the building. Yep. I really do believe that's what we're going to start seeing is you're going to start seeing these schools pivot to really hammer in the state that they are in and maybe trying to get 1-star freshman and again, the rest of the roster be refurbished parts because this shit that we're witnessing right now is unbelievable.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't know because and the thing is also you get every angle of it with this Final Four. You look at every single team. You got players transfer portal, stayed long, have a freshman. It's like every single talking point that's good and bad about the last year or so in college basketball is on full display this weekend.
Yep. Then the last one that I just wanted to bring up was because it just happened not too very, very, very short time ago was Ross Hodge going from North Texas to West Virginia. West Virginia got rid of DeVries, and with that one, that the style of basketball that Ross Hodge had at North Texas. If you didn't watch North Texas this year. Slow paced, beat the shit out of you, play incredible defense. What's that?
Proper hoops, pure proper
just
hoops.
Bully ball, not afraid to just beat the hell out of you, up in your face, all over the place, and not afraid to win games, 59-58. That kind of ball actually really kind of matches up with West Virginia because that's kind of close to how Huggins coached, where it's like, we're just going to come out, we're just going to kick the shit out of you. And by the end of the game, you're going to be too bruised up to make shots. You're going to be too bruised up to want to go to the rim. That's the style that Hodge plays. And Hodge actually spoke pretty complimentary of Huggins and kind of the identity that he had.
That?
Yes.
Listen, I peeped that, and you know me, I love Hug. Hug is misunderstood. Hug is misunderstood. Hug was a victim of the bitch ass generation that we live in.
Oh yeah,
these new kids are fucking soft. These referees are pussy as well, and that is the biggest problem. These older coaches. That's why I'm so happy to see Pitino still succeeding. Izzo as well. It's like, man, at least these old guys aren't getting disrespected because it feels like the more and more you see it, it's like they have issues with down to players, to referees, where it's like some of these guys have their personal issues with these guys as they get older. It's kind of weird to me. So
yeah, no. I've always liked the style that Hodge coaches. It just seems like lock and key for West Virginia. So I'm interested to see what he does there. But he's one of those throwback coaches that is like, no, like we are going to play defense, and we're just not going to concede points, and that's how we're going to win games. And I'll be interested to see what he can do with a Big 12 budget because North Texas's NIL budget was not very big. It's significantly larger at West Virginia. So I was actually a big fan of the Ross Hodge firing. I know there are a lot of people that were like, bring Huggins back. And I'm like, what the current administration is the one that fired him. I'm like,
yeah, they weren't. And also bringing Rich Rod back is one thing. Like, all right, you brought back Rich Rod and I love McAfee. We love McAfee, but there's only, hold on now. There's only so much we can do with bringing back. I would have loved, also no disrespect, but like Huggins will always be good at West Virginia. We know that. We know that, but like you said, the administration right now fired him. Maybe in the future, how old is he? He's also very old. So
yeah, he's pushing 70.
Yeah. So it's like situational. Pitino's what, 76?
Yeah. These guys are getting up there.
So it's like, you'd love for them to get a job, but it's like, are they really motivated to go yell at 21-year-olds right now? Do they really want to do that? And
have the grind and the stress and the stuff. And then just one really, really quick last one is I think what you're going to see, I think you're going to see a significant shift in the identity of Virginia basketball, because going from, well, Bennett obviously resigned, but then with the interim coach now gone, brought in Ryan Odom. And that is a very marked difference and change from what they were before. So, and you know what's funny is it's just hilarious because Virginia now hires the guy that beat them as a 16 seed. So it's just funny how the coaching cycle works, because the same guy that beat Virginia as a 16 seed when they were the one is now the coach of the Virginia Cavaliers.
How long till Tony comes back, or is he done?
No, he's totally done.
You think so?
Yes. Unless there are significant changes with regulations for NIL, because he spoke at length, and he's actually spoken in private before, from what I've heard, about just how disgusted he is with the whole system, the whole everything. This is just not a game that he really wants to be part of. He's got a bunch of money, obviously, from the endorsements and the contracts and the championship that he won. And he's got, he's like, I'm still young enough. I got my health. I can go do stuff. I can go do my own thing, and I don't have to put up with this anymore. No, Tony was one. Jay Wright was the first. Jay Wright got out before it happened. Tony spent a year under the new NIL. Well, I guess I would say rules, but there really aren't any structure. And then he just left. So Tony was one of the first ones to get out. So I don't think that we would ever see Jay Wright on a college sideline again. I'd be very surprised if we see Tony Bennett on a college sideline again.
Don't think so. I always like that, because he's still young. You know what I mean? And I think that everybody always has like a situation. Like that's the reason why I think that, like, I wouldn't be surprised. I would be more surprised if he didn't come back at some point. And I agree. I understand everything you said, completely understandable. But I think that you always have that motivation when you get forced out because of something that's out of your control. And then also remember, I made reference to this earlier in the year when he actually did quit. He ran into a lot of problems because of what happened in the football program. And there's no knock to that. It's just they had a very, very serious tragedy take place at that school. And you know about this with like Baylor. Remember, we were talking about the situations that took place at Baylor. That kind of it kind of put a stamp on the school and made it difficult for the coaches to navigate getting new players, because that hangs over you, right? It happens. The football program was supposed to take a jump. It obviously went straight into some issues, and then you enter into NIL. So it's like, even if you have money, these kids don't want to come to the school.
Yep. No, I hear you.
So I hear you. I think I only ask about Tony because obviously he wasn't getting hired in this cycle in any way, shape, or form. But I don't think it's out of the realm that I don't think he's completely done forever. I just don't.
I'd be interested to see if he comes back. I think he's one of the classiest coaches in college basketball. I'll never forget right after UMBC beat him, and they were trying to bait him into basically like saying like, well, it was almost like a fluke, and he just stopped them all, and he said no. He said straight up, he's like, they kicked our butts.
They whooped our ass.
They kicked our butts. They deserve to win. They're the better team today, period. Like I don't want to hear none of that. And that was and the way that he approached that and how complimentary he was of Coach Odom. And some people don't know this, but the next year, when Virginia obviously went to the Final Four, they won the national championship that year. Actually, I was actually at that game because I was here in Minneapolis. But when they got to the Final Four, the first call that Tony got was from Ryan Odom, and was congratulating him. And he basically said, because Tony said that he told him, he said, last year was our year to pull the upset. He said, now it's your year and you guys are going to win the championship this year. And it was just really, really cool to see Like, and the two of them have actually become pretty close. So it's
Texas
actually really
Tech.
cool that Ryan Odom is coaching UVA now.
Texas Tech got fucked in the ass in that game, if you ask me. But that's just my thought.
Well, again, being there and seeing it live, I can't disagree with you. Auburn kind of did on the one call too, but that's a different story.
I'm just saying, they got that chip, but man, it was. I had a lot of stuff had to happen.
Yep. Well, before we get to, just want to give shout outs to people in the chat. Mom Who Bets, thank you for joining. It's Els. I put your comments up already. Good morning. Flow Creator always with us. Moneybag Tone, good morning. Coach Sabe, good morning to you as well. And Amo, I just want to put Amos back up here. Dusty, just because it's Dusty for you, Sosa. That's a great get. Lindenborg, Yaxel's a great get for him. Man, they're gonna be huge again next year. They're gonna be gigantic again.
That's one thing about Dusty. He gonna get him some bigs. Pause. He gonna get him some players that play in the post. He understands. Listen, when I get to the tournament, if I can control the boards, I got a chance every night.
Yep.
He knows. He understands the assignment.
All right. But we are here to talk about the Final Four. And the first game, which I'm going to put up here in a second, is a rematch between the Florida Gators at 34-4 against the Auburn Tigers 32-5, both number one seeds, 6:09 p.m. tip. Florida laying 2.5 with a total of 159.5, a higher total, which you'd probably expect from these two teams. Sosa, thoughts on this game?
Man, we finally fucking made it. I'm going to say it like this. I know everybody's going to pick Florida to win the game. I am not giving a play on the winner in this game on any live platform. But what I will say is this, and this is my only real, I guess, arguable talking point in regards to this Final Four. Bruce Pearl's got to win a championship this year. If he don't win it this year, it's going to be very difficult. Because he's literally been in every circumstance you could possibly have, every possible situation. This team's been number one in the country longer than anybody this year. I know there are other teams that have been better or have played better at times. They were number one for the longest in America this year. They've already lost to this Florida team. Their best player is banged up. Everybody keeps telling me how he's hurt and all this other shit. I think he's just fucking fine. You got to strap it up for one game and handle business. My thoughts on this is, again, like I said, if Auburn doesn't win this tournament, Bruce Pearl is just going to be cashing big checks for the next 10 years until he decides to hang it up, because he'll never win one. You know what I mean? We're talking about a team that has an older average age than the Oklahoma City fucking Thunder, the best team in basketball. They're young. The fucking Thunder are younger than them. So that's really my thing. It's not necessarily like it's more of an admonishment. I think that Bruce Pearl knows, like, listen, I have to get it done. So before everybody starts putting their whole bankroll on Florida, Florida's been the best team in the country. We got them at 20. I got them at 20-1 from bullpen bets in January. Talked about it on the show. So I have a future on them winning it. But I will also say, again, Bruce Pearl, you got to come up in big moments at some point, man. If not now, then when?
Yep.
So
I
lean to your thoughts on this one and what you might like in it.
Yep. I actually have two free plays from this one. One is a play on the game, on the total, and the other is a player prop. So I'll kind of explain. Well, I'll go through the game, my thoughts on the game first, and then I'll give out what the plays are. So when this tournament started, or when we were heading into the tournament, given how dominant Florida had been going through the SEC tournament, obviously they were the darling of a lot of brackets. They were just right behind Duke with the number of people that picked them to win the national championship. Very few did not pick them to go to the Final Four. It's easy to see why. But throughout this tournament, they have shown some cracks in the armor, and I have not been as impressed as I was watching this team. I have not been impressed with some of Golden's coaching decisions. I think that there have been a few times where He's been put in spots where he's I thought that some of the coaching that some of the decisions that he made schematically in the first half against Texas Tech was bordering on coaching malpractice. I was very, very confused as far as what they were doing. I also was very, very confused at how dominated they were on the offensive glass throughout that game. And I texted my brother. I mean, my brother and I text throughout every NCAA game. I talked about my coaching. He played D2. So he actually knew a few guys from both teams. And, both of us agreed that they won the game on a Saturday night, and Todd Golden had better have gone to church on Sunday and thanked the good Lord above for Walter Clayton Jr. Because if Walter Clayton Jr. was not in a Florida uniform, Florida loses that game. And I will stand on anything and say that. Walter Clayton Jr. is the reason why Florida won that game.
He's the reason why they won the last 2 fucking games.
Okay, fair enough. But
he closed them both. Hit every big shot.
Yeah,
beat UConn by his fucking self.
Yeah, I followed Clayton since his time at Iona because I follow the MAC, and he was there when Pitino was there. And to watch his development has been really something. He's a special player, and the thing that I just love the most about Clayton is that, sometimes I think the phrase like ice in their veins gets used a little bit too often. Walter Clayton Jr. has fucking ice in his veins.
That motherfucker is soulless.
He does not care. He does not care. The way that he shoots these big shots that are going to decide the season, it's like he's just shooting in a gym by himself or like warming up. It is crazy. So shout out to Walter. I can't say enough nice things about Walter Clayton as a player. Now, I wholeheartedly agree. Without him, yes, I think you're right. It's very, very Florida could very easily have been eliminated 2 rounds ago. So that being said, for this game, my play here is on the total. And let me explain on the Auburn side first. So Auburn struggled a little bit coming into the tournament, has been finding their bearings quite a bit, and has been finding their bearings on defense. So it was something that we talked about kind of coming into this tournament about everybody, we always like shit on Alabama's defense or lack thereof, and rightfully so. But Auburn's defense was not great coming into the tournament. They were having some big time defensive lapses, and for as iffy as I think that Pearl is schematically, I do think he's a great hype man. Like if you want a coach that's going to motivate you to just run through a wall, Bruce Pearl is your guy. If you want a guy to like all schematically diagram all the X's and O's, I'm not as convinced. But I give Pearl a lot of credit because they have really dug in defensively. Over the last 3 games in the tournament, their floor percentage, which the percentage of possessions that they allow a single point, is down to 42.5%. They were already in they're in the upper 40s coming into this tournament, but that 42.5% would rank 5th in college basketball. So they have really, really dug in defensively. They've also dug in defending the 3. That's been something, and in their first game, that was one of the things that killed them. So Florida got off to a 10-point lead in their first matchup on February 8th. And if you watch that game, what you see is Auburn, it's not that they weren't, I hate using the phrase taking the game seriously because they always take the game seriously, but Auburn had won, I believe, 13 in a row coming into that game. They had just beat the hell out of Ole Miss. They beat the hell out of Mississippi State. They were just beating everybody. And they were kind of on cruise control in the first half of that game. Florida punched them in the mouth. 48 points in the first half. Auburn fell behind, never really got kind of their bearings, and really just got smacked in the mouth. I don't think you see that today. I think you see a focused Auburn team, and you see them specifically focused on defense and defending the 3. Because in that first game, Florida not only put up 90, but they made 13 threes. Auburn hasn't allowed that many threes in a while. And they are only allowing opponents over their last 3 games to make less than 9 threes per game. So if you're not going to have that, what Auburn also has, if you go down here, is they do have a size advantage down low, an overall size advantage. Now, that's going to lead into one of my player props too. But Auburn down low has a significant size and athleticism advantage on Florida. Florida's stronger at the guard spots, but Auburn has a significant size advantage down low. So with this newfound defense, with this newfound energy guarding the perimeter, then I think that you can see Auburn limit Florida offensively. Now, on the other side, you have a Florida defense that is top 10 in efficiency and has been all year. And the big thing with Florida is their defense on the arc, guarding the 3-point line. It's been just as good in the NCAA tournament for all the stuff that they haven't done. It's been just as good in the NCAA tournament, only allowing 32% during the last 3 games. I took out the one against Norfolk State because that's not an apples to apples comparison. The other thing that Florida's been doing is uncharacteristic of them during the regular season. They've been turning the ball over a ton. They've had a huge issue with turnovers. It's actually kind of weird to watch because they're just throwing the ball all over the place. And a 19.5% turnover rate in their last 3 games, that would rank 335th in the country. That's not what you want to be doing against this Auburn team who forces turnovers at a reasonable rate. So I factor all of that in. I also factor in that it's the first game, it's a neutral site, it's a brand new neutral site. And so this 159.5 is actually too high for me. I'm going to hold off on the game itself, kind of like you, Sosa, is that, not really going to like project for the game itself, but 159.5, I can see this actually being a much lower scoring game than people think. The other point here is that in their last 3 games, Florida is shooting just 41.8% in the first half. Auburn under 50% as well in the first half. So I think you can look first half under, but the full game under is what I'm looking at, because what Auburn has really been doing over these last few games when they've locked in defensively is they've been going back to the bully ball, and they've just beating the living hell out of teams, forcing the officials to call fouls. And there's not as many fouls being called in this tournament. They're letting these kids play. I can see that happening again tonight, and I can see it impacting the overall score. So under 159.5 is the first play. Now, a correlative play with that is I talked about how strong or that Auburn is bigger down low. They're also potentially stronger down low than Florida is. Florida's got the guard spots covered. Auburn's got it down overall size. Now, I look at Alex Condon, and I actually like Condon as a player. I think he's got a little bit of grit to him. I kind of like his overall game, but Condon has not really been getting a whole lot of opportunities on the offensive end. 5, 6, and 7 in his last 3 games for points. Again, I'm taking out the Norfolk game because that's not an apples to apples comparison. You even look before, you go back to the NCAA tournament, he didn't hit double digits, or to the SEC tournament, he didn't hit double digits in 3 out of the 4 games there either. Only getting 6 shots attempts per game in those last 3 games. You factor in the size and length that Auburn has down low, and the fact that Florida, especially when they get into a grind, relies on their guards. I mean, it's with Walter Clayton and them, I would too. So relying on their guards. So right now, Condon's player prop on DraftKings, or no, on FanDuel, is set right at his season average. He averages 10.8. It's set at 10.5. He just hasn't been a big factor in their offense. He hasn't hit double digits in 5 of their last 7 games, and actually hasn't had double digit shots in any of them, with the exception of the SEC tournament final. And that was a little bit situational. So Alex Condon under 10.5 points would be the second free play from this game.
Comment of the year.
Not saying what?
Holy
I
shit.
didn't get that one.
Nah, it's cool. It's cool. It's cool. It's cool. It's cool. It's cool. It's like I understood it. I got it. I got it. Listen, you got Logan in the comments saying it's a Miles Kelly game. Listen, I want to believe I believe that Florida is the best team, or the better team of the two. But again, not giving away any plays on that. It's a perfect opportunity to play it live. In the first half, you're going to see the first half will let you know everything. And then also, if one team does get off to a huge lead in the first half, you just take the other team on the spread in the second half. I think that's going to be our level of like advice as far as like if you're betting a side. That's my advice. I would watch the first half. If one team gets out up 10 at any point, take the other team spread. Pretty simple.
All right. Onward.
All right, onward. Next game, we got the Houston Cougars, 1 seed, taking on Duke, the Blue Devils, 1 seed. 8:50 start. You got Duke laying 5.5 with an over-under of 136.5. What's there to say about this? I'll let you give your thoughts on it first. I'll give my thoughts, and then we'll get into the plays.
I mean, I'll make it real simple. This Duke team is one of the best college basketball teams that I've seen in the last 5 years. They're right up there with UConn last year. And I will repeatedly say this whenever I use that phrase. I say this as a Duke hater. I'm not a Duke fan. I've never been a Duke fan. I've never been anything related to cheering for Duke ever. But game respects game, talent respects talent. I respect these guys. I respect what Shire has done. He's gotten the exact right mix of guys that he needs and has put the perfect system around them. Aside from the fact that they are the number one biggest team in the nation, they're the longest team in the nation. They have no rotation player that is under 6'6". They have length on the wing. They have tons of length in the post. And where I go with this one is what I think that this does is this can present two things. Number one is Houston doesn't really play at a fast pace anyway. You know, they're defensive minded. They prefer to grind games out. If Houston wants to get into any kind of up and down game with the Blue Devils or any kind of running or pushing at all, which Duke plays at a pretty slow pace too. But if Houston wants to try to go shot for shot with Duke, they're going to get murdered. They don't have the offensive talent overall. They don't have the ability, even with their guards on the wings, because you can see that Uzan and Cryer, Sharp, all these guys, 6'3", 6'1", 6'4", against 6'5", 6'6", 6'7", 6'5". So when you have a Houston team that is second overall in the country in three-point percentage, that's wonderful. But a lot of that comes off of two things. Number one is it comes off of inside-outside game when they're dumping the ball down to Roberts, who's 6'8", but he's a load, and running guys off of screens for kickouts. But the big thing that it comes off of is offensive rebounds, tapbacks. So Houston is one of the best offensive rebounding teams in the country, 11th overall, as you can see. But the problem that they're going to have tonight offensively, and this is why I'm going this way, is number one is they're going to have to ugly the game up to hang with Duke. Duke is just overall a better team. They're a bigger team. They're a better team. They have a more depth. They have more length, and they have the length to stop and not allow guys like Cryer and Sharp to get wide open looks. They don't have to sag down on Roberts. They don't have to come double off of Roberts because of their length. So Duke is also one of the better defensive rebounding teams in the country, which you'd hope with their height, but 44th overall. It's been better in the tournament. So you have that area covered, I think, for Duke from a Houston offensive perspective. So if you have the three-point arc covered, you look at the other two areas for the Cougs, and you see that they're not nearly as adept in scoring. 327th in getting to the free throw line, 282nd in two-point percentage. And the two-point percentage might be even worse tonight because you got 6'9", 6'10", and 7'2" down low against 6'7", 6'8". This length is just too much. It's too much. And I think that Kelvin, if Kelvin Sampson, I think, knows this and knows that the key to being competitive in this game is to ugly it up, is to make each possession long and make each possession grinding and make Duke have to expend all kinds of energy all the time. If you try to bomb threes, you saw what happened with Alabama when they tried to get into a three-point shooting contest and run up and down and bomb all these threes against Duke. In the second half, Duke busted the shit out of the game and broke it open and blew them out of the gym. You can't do that against this team because they're too long and they're too good. So if you ugly the game up, you limit the number of possessions. That also limits your possessions. I already talked about how Duke has the length to cover out on the three-point line. So my free play for this one, Houston's team total is set at 65.5. I even think that that's high. I actually can see a world where they like barely get over 60. And that has no real bearing on my take about like the actual winner or covering for the game. It just has to do with the fact that this Houston team, one of their biggest weapons is the 3-point shot and shooting and getting 3-point looks. And Duke has those two things covered. They have the length on the wing covered and they have the rebounding covered. Not that Houston won't be athletic enough to get a few offensive rebounds. I think that they will, but Duke has really limited teams on the glass. So, for all the hype and all the stuff about Cooper Flagg and like how he's like, like the heir apparent and the number one pick, whatever, he's actually a really gritty player and he busts his ass on the defensive glass. He's actually very fundamentally sound. If you ever watch him away from the ball when a shot goes up, he actually does a really nice job finding a guy and boxing out. So
he has the number one attribute in modern basketball that you can't teach: a motor.
He does.
He's got a motor. You can't, and he just knows one way. He's on go. That's my favorite. I mean, if you watch him play, that's the best attribute that he possesses. His motor. You cannot teach that shit. You can't teach go on both ends for an entire game. You can't teach that. And you either have it or you don't. And it's different when you're the best athlete on the team. It changes that. It changes everything. That's what it is. The motor is insane for an 18-year-old. Absolutely insane.
So my free play, and then I'll turn it over to you, Sosa, is Houston team total under 65.5. I think the full game under might be worth a look in some fashion, I think. But for the full game, the things that Houston tries to do offensively, Duke just has that covered in droves.
And listen, I completely agree with everything you just said. My only issue is that I think that with what you just said, Kelvin Sampson understands that you're not only going to have to make it a shorten the game. You're going to also have to hit a lot. You're going to have to hit threes. Duke extends extremely well, like you said, but I still believe that the game plan is to chuck them. You're going to have to put threes up, and you're going to have to live and die by that 3-point shot, because at the end of the day, in modern ball, that's the greatest equalizer. And I don't think the guards don't strike me as a bunch of bitches either. No. I like Milos. I think their guards can give them issues, but I also think that with what you said, there has to be a balance, because Houston can't just try to sit in a half court the whole game and completely muck it up. They have to be efficient, but they also have to find moments to get out. And that can happen because when you have smaller players, you're going up against guys who 6'11", 7 foot, like they have a couple of those dudes on Duke's side. You could possibly find driving lanes and opportunities for them to maybe get some of these guys into foul trouble. That's also I think a major key as to how the bigs handle rim pressure for Duke. I think that's important, because I think Kelvin Sampson is going to say, hey, we need high volume 3-point shooting, and we need to try and get as many fouls on the bigs for Duke as possible in order to give us opportunities to really kind of function the way we want to for a 40-minute span. I'm going to bet Milos and Milos over 1.5 threes for the game at -120. I think it factors in well for any circumstance or any real scenario that's put into the game. If they get down, they need 3-point shooting. If they're able to get up, it's probably going to be because of 3-point shooting. Cryer and him, I think I could easily see them shooting about 6 or 7 apiece. minimum in this one, and I think that's the sword that you go out on. It's your backcourt. It's the guys on the perimeter that you believe in, can get you a bucket and create plays for others. Milos, I think, is the real deal. I think he's right there. I think LJ Cryer has every reason to want to come into this motivated. And then you also have an opportunity historically for Cooper Flagg to be placed amongst a select group of players, like a Lou Alcindor and a Carmelo Anthony.
Oh yeah.
Where it's like, and obviously I'm just trying to touch on every possible talking point. A lot of people talk about this, and this is another thing I wanted to get off my chest. That's kind of pissing me off. Okay, this fucking Duke roster is really, really fucking good. They talk about Con Knipple like he's just some average white boy. He's a top 10 fucking pick in the NBA draft.
Oh, yes.
We've been talking about Proctor as a first round pick since he was 18. Malawak's going to be top 7 or 8, 5, maybe 5 or 6, depending. So this team is fucking loaded. Don't ever make any mistake about that, because the way it's kind of painted to us, it's like it's a one-man show. Listen, Carmelo Anthony had a really good fucking team too. We just don't remember the names like Billy Edelin and Queth Dwayne, and we don't remember that Hakeem Wark was a top 10 pick that was a junior playing on that championship team. Nobody talks about that type of shit. They just say Melo, but that team was fucking loaded.
Totally.
Average teams don't win championships. That's never been part of the game.
Nope.
Okay. So when you look back on it, and also they beat a team that had two started pros in Heinrich and Collison when they won a championship. So the Kansas team they played against had no slouches either. But please miss me with the whole Cooper Flagg and the Pips conversation that I feel like the internet wants us to have.
No.
I love Cooper Flagg. He's really good.
6 first-round picks in this team.
That's what I'm saying. So please cut it out with the listen, he might be a generational talent, and we'll know that at the next level. You don't pick you don't say a guy's generational talent in college. We done seen players come and go in college all the fucking time. Mm-hmm. But please, I beg of the general public to stop making it seem like this is Cooper Flagg and 4 fucking YMCA kids. That's my only issue with this entire thing. He's the best player, yes, but he ain't out there with no fucking scrubs.
Nope. No, they'd
be a top 10 team in America without him. I say that easily.
I can go down Duke's roster, and I would probably have to get to about the 10th or 11th kid to say what team in the SEC or Big 12 or Big 10 would this kid not start for? And I tried that one time. I got to about the 10th kid on their roster, and that's when I started getting into, maybe on some of them he would, whatever. But
maybe.
But like the top 9 would start on any power conference team in America, period. I stand on that. I don't care who it is. The coach would find a way to get them either in the starting lineup or at least 25 to 30 minutes a game. That's just a fact, because that is how unbelievably deep and good this team is. And so that's what I'm saying to people, because I came into this tournament saying I'm not going to let my hatred or my distaste for just Duke and some of their fan base and the media around them, especially at ESPN. I'm not going to let that blind me. I'm going to watch and just see how good is this team. And I had to just throw my hands up and say, they are really, really effing good.
I'm a fucking North Carolina fan. You know how fucking disheartening this is for me? You know how much this kills me to watch? Because
I know.
We know what we're seeing. And it's like, listen, again, I've said so many good things about Cooper Flagg because I know what I'm seeing, right? I know what I'm witnessing as far as like him being a white American player. Like we got to be honest about what it is. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But man, like the fucking team is ridiculously good. They're really, really good.
Yep.
So, across the board. So, with that being said, I think we covered just about everything in regards to the Final Four. If you guys have any questions in the chat, what was Mo talking about? We can run back whatever you want.
I was just going to see if there's any player props that anybody I think that Logan said it before, but I think that Miles Kelly Miles Kelly player points, 12 plus at minus 115 was another one that I think that you can look at. Player, I'm not as hepped up on, I mean, I don't mind Walter Clayton's threes. It's so juiced for a player prop, 3+ at minus 140. He'll certainly shoot enough to get there, but I'm just not sure that I don't know. I just don't like paying minus 140 for a player prop in a situation like this. Then for other ones for that game, I think that Condon's rebound prop was what interested me at first, but not so much anymore. And I also liked there was one more that I liked for that game, and it was I didn't mind Pettiford 4+ assists. That one kind of spoke to me. In the Duke game, a couple other ones, and again, these are ones that I haven't even decided if we do anything with them. These are just ones that I just kind of caught my eye at the beginning. LJ Cryer, like I kind of wanted to take points under, but I think Sosa brought up a good point, is that I think that Sampson knows that the only way that they can be competitive is that, I mean, he's going to have to bring it. So that wasn't really that interesting. Knipple 15+ points is at minus 105. That's got decent value. And then for Cooper Flag, 9+ rebounds at plus 115, just because of some of the offensive struggles that I'm projecting Houston to have, makes a little bit of sense. Those are just a few that kind of interested me. Anyways, so we'll go see what D-Rock says. Directing the market for player to make the most threes. Clayton at plus 400. Yeah. If it's player to make the most threes in both games tonight, the only thing that I would get a little concerned about would be potentially Kelly and Cryer in that one.
Cryer, yes. Cryer is going to – listen, this is another thing too. This is why I'm not betting any of these games early. Shooting in this particular sort of venue, your depth perception changes. And it usually takes the team that's the first – because one of these teams, like any of these teams, bro, they could go crazy, right? It's like shooting. If you ever shot at a YMCA and you ever shot at like a wide open arena, you can hear me, right?
Oh yeah,
yeah. Just making sure, because you kind of like paused for a minute, but yeah, that's something that as to why I kind of like I'm very hesitant, because bro, like the wildest shit can happen where like one player can just go nuclear. You saw it with the white boy from Louisville, Luke Hancock. Remember when he was in the Final Four? The motherfucker couldn't miss.
Yep.
So that's one thing too that I urge people to kind of be wait for, because like Cryer a couple rounds ago, he just couldn't miss. He just came out and couldn't miss. So that's like, again, that's my thing. I think any one of these players could go nuclear tonight, and we'll see early how they're looking. But like I said, the depth perception changes. That's why the first thing you tell people to do when they go to when you tell the players when they go out there is take them as many shots as you possibly can. Just shoot them, get them up.
Yep.
Get used to the open air above you, because it's so different than playing in like a 17,000 seat stadium.
Yep, and that's actually a really good point, Sosa, because the Alamo Dome is gigantic, and especially when it's opened up like that, the sight lines are hard. The sight lines are hard to get used to, and they've been practicing there all week, but a little bit different when you get a crowd in there and you get under the bright lights and et cetera, et cetera. So, all right, final thoughts, and then special announcement about a different sport. So final thoughts, just to recap my free plays, the official ones that I'm giving out to hopefully run this up to 9 in a row in the tournament. I got Florida and Auburn under 159.5. I have a player prop, Alex Condon, under 10.5 points. And I have Houston Cougars team total under 65.5. Let's see. Oh, you know what? And before we go to this, I just want to talk about So welcome in exactly. I tried the Crown tournament. I don't know how much. I'm not even going to watch any of it anymore. The Crown tournament for me has turned into basically it's a way for guys to showcase themselves to the NBA scouts that are out there. The quality of basketball in the Crown tournament for me has just been overall poor. It's especially poor defensively. So if you're looking at anything exactly, I would just look at taking overs just because you got it's very open gym-ish basketball, very AAU-ish, if that makes sense. I have just not been impressed with the Crown games. I have not been impressed with the tournament. You got a bunch of guys kind of sitting out and guys entering the portal and not there. And, guys have different motivations. So I've even seen, coaches basically encouraging their teams to just chuck. And it's like, okay, now it's your turn to score. Now it's your turn to score. And let's just showcase all the fancy stuff, basketball moves that we can make for all the scouts here, especially guys that are going to be entering the portal. So I am completely off anything Crown related, but if I had a lean on something, I would just say the over. So I tried it early in the tournament, and after about I watched 3 or 4 games, and I'm like, this is some kind of bad basketball. So, anyways,
Pretty trash.
What?
It's pretty trash.
It is.
Yeah.
It's like watching open gym at the YMCA. So D-Rock saying Cryer is 500, Proctor is 600, Knipple is 1,100 for the most threes.
All right, let's get to it. Before we get up out of here, got some big news entering the baseball season. My man Spin Doc Sports, as you guys knew, first of all, y'all didn't know he was nice as shit at college basketball. When you met him, all you knew him for was K-props in Major League Baseball. We're going to be presenting, well, you got to change it, fix the date. The 7th, which is Tuesday, we will be premiering the Spin Zone, which is a daily show hosted and ran by Spin Doc Sports, sharing with you the best info and data for K-props daily. It will be every morning. I believe 10 a.m. is what he's aiming for, 10 a.m. Eastern. I'm grateful for it because obviously we've done some great things as far as content has gone, as far as you guys locking in and rocking with us. But we want to make sure that we feature everybody at what they're best at. A lot of people want the K-prop stuff, and I'm just grateful that, again, the Spin Zone will be here. And Spin, appreciate you. Let the people know what to expect, and then we get out of here.
Yeah, so really excited to be doing this. For those of you that have followed me, you see me on like Sharpie's Show Weekly and a couple other shows here and there. But I'm excited to kind of do my own. So I'll have some daily K-prop looks, and just if any of you watch the baseball preview show, kind of walking people through what I look at for looking at K-props. I kind of want to, in addition to just giving out looks, to kind of walk people through the process of like what I'm looking at each day. Even though, I'm normally one that waits for lineups to come out before I give an official play, we'll still definitely have some leans for you. And then also we'll have some MLB sides and totals as well. So just kind of walking through the whole thing with K-props. For those of you that don't know, this man to my left on the screen here is actually who gave me my name for Spin Doc, because that was how I was discovered in the first place, because studying pitcher spin rates and its correlation to strikeouts. So the name kind of stuck. So we thought there's really nothing better to call it except for the Spin Zone. So premieres Tuesday. We're gonna wait till after the NCAA tournament, because then it'll be then it'll be baseball. It'll be baseball season, but yeah, it'll be available right here on the Daily Bread Network at right around 10 a.m. Pretty much every day of the week. We'll have, and then as we proceed, I'll have guests on there, trying to line up some guests to come on, people that I respect with their baseball knowledge, and a whole bunch of looks, whole bunch of strikeout stuff, whole bunch of knowledge. So excited to have you.
Okay, with that being said, it's the Final Four. Good luck on all of your bets. If you're tailing Spin or myself with any of the player props or sides totals, etc., make sure you guys drop us both a follow. Make sure you guys like the video before you get up out of here. That's the thumbs up button. With that being said, appreciate you all and best of luck on your bets. Peace.
Good luck.